On the basis of size and its capability or a capacity, we have a microcomputer, mini computer, mainframe computer, and then supercomputers. It will have a numbers in order to represent the value. That values always lies as 1 and 0. It will be a collaboration of both the features from analog as well as digital. On what basis we are going to do that? That will be the important thing here. In the mini computer, if I wanted to access that mini computer, then I have to use any of the PC or we have to use a terminal. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. Welcome back to the session 3 of Unit 1, and we are in the BCA's first semester subject called Fundamentals of Computer, that is FOC. I'm Rohini TS, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Before getting into our today's session, we'll just have a quick recap of our previous session. As we know, in the last session of this unit, we had a discussion regarding what are the difference between software and hardware. I had given a tabular format for the difference of this hardware and software. You need to be understood regarding that software and hardware, and also I have discussed regarding what are the functional components we have in a computer. So when it comes to the functional components, you need to understand the working of each unit along with a diagram. So we have an input unit, output unit, memory unit along with a processing unit. That is what I had discussed regarding this functional components of a computer. So in our today's session, we're going to see the classification of computer. On what and all basis we are going to do the classification. Amongst that, we have to give a more weightage for this principles of operation along with its configuration. Based on this scenario, we are going to classify the computer. We'll see the format in order to have this classification of a computer here. So here we have a different kinds of computer that is based on some functionality. So if you see here, what is that? On the basis of this construction and working, we are going to classify the computer into analog computer, digital computer, and then hybrid computer. Then what about this one? On the basis of usage. So it can be used for special purpose or can be used for general purpose. After that, on the basis of size and its capability or a capacity, we have a microcomputer, mini computer, mainframe computer, and then supercomputers. After this here, area of application, on what basis we are using, what is the field or where is the field we are using this computer in the terms of business and for the scientific reason. And at last, what we have here, number of user. Do we have a single user or a multiple user, or it is related to network? On the basis of all these criteria, we are going to classify this computer. In this, you need to give more weightage for this one, that is constructions and working or principle of operation. Along with that, you need to give a more weightage to this size and capability along with its performance. Based on all those criteria, we have a micro, mini, mainframe, and then supercomputer. All these kind of things which comes under this digital computer. This is what you need to remember. Let me get into the first thing, that is regarding the classification of computer based on the principle of operation. How it will going to operate? What is its functionality? Based on that, we have a analog computer, digital computer, and then hybrid computer. As the name indicates, analog in the sense what? The values will be continuous in range here. So when it comes to the analog computer, it's a computing device that works on continuous range of values. So if you see your watch, which is analog in nature, so that it will going to have a values in a continuous manner. That is what? It will going to work on the basis of continuous range of values with a minimum and maximum value. Within that minimum and maximum value, only it will going to rotate, or it will going to shows the data or information. That value will only going to be lies between minimum value and then maximum value. So in this analog computer, mainly it works upon the continuous data, and also mainly it operates by measuring rather than counting. So here we are mainly giving a weightage for the purpose of measuring rather than counting purpose. So we are measuring. So what are the different examples can we take for this analog computer? You can take the example of speedometer, voltmeter, seismometer, all those meter which we are measuring. For that purpose we are using that kind of computers are considered as what? Analog computer. Main weightage is given for the measurement rather than counting, and then it will give a approximate result. So we can't expect accurate result from this analog computer. More often it will going to give the approximate result, but it will be near to the accurate value. Even we can't neglect it. So though it will going to give the approximate result. Mainly it works on the principle of measuring. That's why I said it has a more weightage for the measuring rather than for the counting. And then modern analog computers usually employs the electronic parameters. So here the modern analog computer will mainly based on the electronic parameter. As I said earlier, you can take the example of seismometer, voltmeter, speedometer, all those kind of meter which we are using for measuring, that comes under this analog computer. So here you can see the image of this analog computer. Then what about this digital computer? As the name indicates, digital in nature. So it will going to work based on the digit. What kind of digit it will going to use? We'll see now. In this digital computers are those that operate with the information numerical or otherwise represented in a digital form. Whatever could be the information, that information can be numeric, digit or whatever it is. It will going to represent in the term of digital form. If you consider the analog, that is of continuous data in nature. But in this digital computer, it mainly works based on the discontinuous or discrete data. Very important difference between the analog and digital. So it works based on the discontinuous, or it will work based on this discrete data. And also in this digital computer, mainly it will going to operate on the digital data. Then what kind of data it will going to include? It will have a numbers in order to represent the value. That values always lies as 1 and 0. So always it works with a binary number, either 0 and 1. So in this, if it is 0, then it will be considered as off. If it is 1, then it is considered as 1. So it will going to show us the electric pulses which is low and which is high. If it is 0, then it represents the low, and if it is 1, then it represents the value high. And also you can consider it will going to give accurate result than the analog computer, and it will be faster in range. So when it comes to the computations or for purpose of measuring and all, this digital computer will going to be very fast than the analog computer. So here you can see the example, normal computer system whatever we have now. So you can take the example of Macintosh, IBM, all those comes under this digital computer. Next we'll see about the last type, that is all regarding what? Hybrid computer. So as the name indicates hybrid, then it will be a combination of what? Analog as well as digital. So when it comes to the analog, you need to plug all the advantages of that analog computer, and in the digital computer you need to plug all the features and its advantages. When we are combining it together, then we can have this hybrid computer. Then it will be a combination of computers, those are capable of accepting the inputs and outputs in both the digital and analog signals. It's working based on both the types, that is what? Analog and digital. And here you can see that it will incorporate the measuring features of an analog computer. As I told earlier, mainly we are using analog computer for the purpose of measuring rather than counting. Then when it comes to the hybrid computer, then it will going to use the feature of analog computer for the purpose of measuring and counting features of the digital computer. In order to count, it will use the digital computer. In order to measure, it will use the analog computer. So for the computational purpose, these computers use analog components, and for storage, digital memories are used. It will be a collaboration of both the features from analog as well as digital. On what basis we are going to do that? That will be the important thing here. For measurement, analog, and for the counting feature, digital, and for the computation purpose, again analog, and for the storage purpose, then it will going to use the digital memory space. It will be a collaboration of both analog and digital. Then mainly used for specialized tasks. So when we have to do the specialized tasks, at the time we are going to use this hybrid computer. So then what is the usage of this hybrid computer? What are the examples we can have? Gasoline machine, and we are going to use this hybrid computer in the area of defense and for the purpose of forensic. So in all the specific tasks where we have to take more risk, there we are going to use this hybrid computer. So these are the different types of computer which comes under the category of principles of operations or based on the constructions or configuration. Based on that, we have analog, digital, and then we have a hybrid computer. So already you know about analog, digital and hybrid. Again, the digital computer will going to be divided into certain types. Let me discuss regarding that. Here you can see the classification which is based on the configuration. Amongst that configuration, we are mainly highlighting on this digital computer. Based on the performance, size, cost and its capability, then we are dividing or we are classifying this digital computer into 4 types. Then which are those? That includes microcomputer, mini computer, mainframe computer and then supercomputers. Then how to understand all these types? What are the features you need to concentrate? First, you need to understand its year. On what year this got evolved and what are its features. Along with that, you need to understand its advantages or usage with one or more example. Then that is enough in order to understand all the types of this digital computer. Say again, microcomputer, mini computer, mainframe computer and we have a super computer. We'll see each type one by one. So here what we have a first type, that is microcomputer. So whatever we are using as a PC or a personal computer, that comes under the category of this microcomputer. So that's why it's also considered as a PC or a personal computer and it was introduced in the year 1970 or up to 1973. So that is the year when it got invented. And what is the number of processor? It will going to include 1 or 2 processor. So in this microcomputer, it will going to have 1 or 2 processor and mainly it will contains the input devices to accept the input and it contains the output devices. Along with that, storage device will be there along with the processor. So all the basic components whatever we require for the processing, then we have all the things in the microcomputer. It has input unit, input devices, output devices, storage device along with a processor. Then based on the number of processor will be 1 or 2 and mainly it is used by one person at a time. That is what the reason we are calling it as a personal computer. So when a person is using for its own benefits or for its personal use, then we are calling that kind of computer as what? Personal computer. At a time it can be accessed by only one person at a time. Then what are the examples which comes under this microcomputer? Here you can see that we have a desktops or PC or a personal computer. You can take the example of Macintosh, laptops, notebooks, tablets, palm tops and we have a smartphones. All these are comes under this microcomputer. So this microcomputer can be handheld computers or it can be desktop computers. So it can be smartphone. All these are the categories or subdivision which comes under this microcomputer. Here you can see the example, that is what laptop. Fine. Next what we have, its uses. Then for what purpose can we use this microcomputer? Now we got to know its feature, right? It was invented in the year 1970 to 1973 and it has 1 or more processor. At a time only one person can use. So if that is the case, then it can be used in the office or for the purpose of homes. So you can have it for the entertainment purpose or to do your own works. And also children can enjoy playing by making use of smartphones or any of the personal computers or desktop. And moreover, it is not so costly and it will be user friendly. Though you don't know how to work with the computer, then it is of no difficulty here. It will be user friendly. Along with that, you can have their operation can be easily learned by anyone having a logical aptitude. At least you know what is the commands it is giving, what we are supposed to do. If you know all those basic things, then it will be easy to use this microcomputer. Then what is the second type? That's all regarding mini computer. This was invented before this microcomputer. So this mini computer is invented first. It was introduced in the year 1960s or 1965. And then mini computers are larger and more powerful than the personal computer. It is more than this personal computer or a PC computer. It is large when it comes to the difference between micro and mini computer, but name is mini, but in size it is larger, and then it can execute 5 million instructions per second. So how we are going to find out the speed of a computer, that is its processing speed, how many number of instruction is executed per second. So based on that we are going to divide it, or based on that we are going to find the efficiency of a computer. In that, mini computer has the ability to execute 5 million instructions per second. You just imagine, it has the ability to process 5 million instructions for a second, and then it is generally consists of 2 or more processor. But in the microcomputer we have 1 or more processor, that is for a personal use. In this mini computer it can have 2 or more processor, and then it can serve up to 4,000 connected users simultaneously. Just imagine that microcomputer is used for a personal use, but if you are having this mini computer, it can serve up to 4,000 connected users simultaneously. All the 4,000 users can work with this microcomputer simultaneously without any interruption. Along with that, here you can see that mainly if I wanted to work with this mini computer, then we have to use it with a personal computer or a terminal. Why? Because it doesn't contain any processor. That is what the funny thing here. In the mini computer, if I wanted to access that mini computer, then I have to use any of the PC or we have to use a terminal. That is what the step in order to invent the microcomputer. Then a device with a monitor and keyboard is called a terminal. So what do you mean by terminal here? I can access it with a PC. That means it will going to have both input, output along with the storage and then processing unit. So if we have a device that is what monitor and keyboard together, then we are calling it as a terminal. Don't get confused. So if we have a terminal and then PC, with the help of that we can access this mini computer, and it's also considered as a terminal. Why? Because as I said earlier, it is not having any processing power and cannot work as a standalone computer. So if you wanted to get benefit from this, then you have to attach this microcomputer or any of the PC or terminal to the mini computer, then it will be more efficient. Then what are the examples which comes under this? We have a digital alpha, VX800 and AS400. These are the examples which comes under this mini computer. Then what are its uses? For what reason we are going to use this? They are often used by small and medium-sized companies to provide a centralized store of information. So here centralized store. Why? Because we are going to dump all the content to one computer. Let me say that as what? Mini computer. And at a time up to 4,000 users can access that same computer simultaneously. That's why this mini computer will going to act as a central store of information. And mainly they are used for the purpose of data processing. So this is what the advantages or uses of this mini computer. Next, let me move to the next type. That's all regarding mainframe computers. It was introduced in the year 1975 and it is very large computers in size. So if you look into this image, you can easily understand that it's not looking like a normal computer, isn't it? Then it is larger in size and it was invented in the year 1975 and it is more powerful than the mini and then microcomputer, and it can have the multiple processors. So if you consider the mini and micro, so max to max there we have 2 or 3 processor, but here it may consist of multiple processor. So if it is having multiple processor, then its speed will be very high. If the speed is high, then it has more efficiency in the calculation or it has more efficiency in the performance, and if that is the thing, it is going to allow multiple users to access the content content simultaneously. Fine. So it is designed to perform multiple tasks for multiple users at the same time. As I said now, in this mainframe computer, it will going to have multiple processor. If it is having multiple processors, then it will going to perform multiple tasks at a time. If that is the thing, it is going to allow multiple users to access the same content at the same time. That is what we are having this mainframe computer, and then the user access a mainframe computer through personal computer. This is all the things you need to remember. If I wanted to access this mainframe computer, again we require this PC or a personal computer. So we are controlling and coordinating all the activities of this mainframe computer with the help of micro or this personal computer, and imagine it can execute 16 million instructions per second, right? If you consider the mini computer, it has the ability to execute 5 million instructions per second, but in this it can execute 16 million instructions per second. Then you have to imagine how speed it is when it comes to the performance. Then what are the examples which we have for this mainframe computer? It includes CDC 6600 and NEC 610 and DEC 10. So if I wanted to access any of the content in the mainframe computer, again we require microcomputer or a PC in order to access it. Then what are its uses? We'll see now. So in this mainframe, computers are used in large organization because it will going to access a centralized data storage purpose. So for that reason, we can also have it, and they are big computer system, very sensitive to temperature, humidity and dust. Utmost care needs to be taken for the purpose of this mainframe computer, and it is qualified and trained operators are required to operate them. Normal people, those who have only basic knowledge of a computer, cannot access the content of this mainframe computer, or they cannot just simply work with this mainframe. So we require training and we require this qualified operators in order to perform or to work with this mainframe computer, and they have a wide range of peripherals attached. That means peripheral in the sense what? It's what combination of input, output and storage. So that is what we are considering. If it is consist of input, output and storage device, then together we are calling it as a peripheral. The number of peripherals will be more in this mainframe computer. They have large storage capacity. So you need to concentrate on this point. That is what large storage capacity. So you just understand, if it is able to execute 16 million instructions per second, then we require large storage space. That is what we have in this mainframe computer, and they can have a wide variety of software. It's not only related to, or it is not only based on a particular purpose of software. Here it can have a n number of software, and they are not user friendly. That is what the reason we require a qualified and trained operator in order to work with this mainframe computer, and they can also be used for more mathematical calculation. So for the purpose of aeronautics, for the purpose of air traffic control, there and all, we are going to use this mainframe computer. So it is not only meant for a particular task or a function. Then we can use this mainframe computer for wide variety of different application, but it is not user friendly. You must understand, you must get trained or to qualify in order to use this mainframe computers. We'll see the last type. That's all regarding supercomputer. So when it comes to the supercomputer, you are being an Indians, we must be proud. Why? Because we have a supercomputer and we have invented a supercomputer from the India. That is what? Param. So before that, we'll see what about the supercomputer here. So it was introduced in the year 1980. And then it's the fastest computer. So the supercomputer is considered as the fastest computer. Here you can see the image. So if you just look into this image, you can imagine how efficient it is and what is its storage space, how many number or how many billion or trillion instructions can be executed with this supercomputer. Fine. It's the biggest in size and the most expensive in price than any other computer. It is more expensive and it will be bigger in size, and then it's the most sophisticated. It's not only meant or this is can't be used by a normal person. You must get trained and you must get qualified in order to work with this supercomputer, and then complex and advanced computer. So this will going to be used in order to have, or in order to resolve the high risk, whatever we have in our nature, in order to resolve all those things, we are going to use a supercomputer. Mainly it is sophisticated in nature and it is complex and advanced computer, and then it is very large storage capacity. It has a very large storage capacity, and then it can process trillions of instructions in 1 second. So you just need to imagine microcomputer. So it has the ability to execute certain number of thousands or lakhs together instructions per second. And microcomputer has the ability to execute 5 million instructions per second. And when it comes to the mainframe computer, that has the ability to execute 16 million instructions per second. Then what about the supercomputer? It has a superpower to execute trillions of instructions per second, and mainly is used for the highly calculation intensive task, which when we are have to take more risk, at that time we are going to have this supercomputer. In the terms of weather forecasting, in there all the fields we are going to have this supercomputer. So mainly this is designed for ultra high performance tasks such as weather analysis, encryption, cracking and creation of animation there, or in order to have a Hollywood movies, or which is going to have more animation, there we are going to use this supercomputer. Then what are the example for this? IBM Roadrunner, IBM Blue Gene, and then Param Padma. As I said earlier, this is the computer which invented by the Indians. Fine. Here you can see what are the uses we have with respect to the supercomputer. We can use it for weather forecasting, to predict the weather, how will be the situation by next 1 year or by next 10 days. So in order to predict all those things, we have this weather forecasting and animated graphics, which can be seen in the Hollywood movies. Not only Hollywood movies nowadays, we can also see in all the kinds of movies now. And then nuclear energy research. As I said earlier, where we have more risk, at the time we have to use this supercomputer, and the purpose of space science, and then weapons and missile designing and petroleum exploration. So all these will going to have high risk. So there we have to use this, or we have to get the benefit of this supercomputer. So that's all regarding what classification of computer, which based on certain parameter. Amongst that, we have to give more weightage on the principle of operation. There we have a analog, digital and hybrid. In the digital computer, again it got classified into 4 types: micro, mini, mainframe and supercomputer. This is what you need to understand from this classification of computer. I hope you all understood my today's session. In my coming session, we're going to see about the number system. As we know, computer can understand only Hindi, isn't it? No, right? Computer can understand only binary number, that is what zeros and ones. So in order to have that, we have to do the conversion from one number system to another number system. So in my coming session, we're going to discuss about that. What do you mean by number system, and what are the different types we have? How we are going to convert from one number system to another number system. That is what I will be discussing in my coming session. Let me meet you in the next session. Until that, keep learning, keep on growing. Thank you.